Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the February 2023 Workamping Q&A webinar. Really excited to have those of you who are listening live. Thanks for joining us live. You guys submitted questions ahead of time, and I'm going to go through and answer the different questions that were submitted first. But those of you who are live with us, if you do have more questions that you want to submit while I'm going through this webinar, please feel free to send those in. So if you're attending live and you're on a desktop or laptop computer, you should have a GoToWebinar control panel there on your screen. And in that control panel, there will be a questions or chat section that you're welcome to type into. If you're on a smartphone or a tablet, you should have that questions option down at the bottom of your screen that you can tap on. And now I have a PowerPoint slide where I'll have just the different questions listed as I'm talking about them. And then you'll also have my smiling talking face here. If you're on a tablet or a smartphone, you can just swipe on your screen to switch between the PowerPoint and me. So that's just some housekeeping stuff here for those of you who are online live with us. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for listening in to the Workamping Q&A webinar. I'm Jody Anderson-Duquette with Workamper News. Workamper News is the kind of originator of the Workamping community. We created the term Workamper back in 1987, the original owners did, and we've been helping people find great jobs in great places ever since. Workamper.com is our online home. I am going to talk a little bit about our website and the tools that we have available, the resources that we have available, but this won't just be a commercial about Workamper News membership options, I promise. I have lots of good information to share with you guys as I answer the different questions that you all submitted. I myself have been with Workamper News for about 17 years now. So helping employers and work campers on both sides of the fence of the work camping equation. And I'm also an RVer. My husband and I, we've had, we're on our third RV now. We've been full-time RVers, part-time RVers. So we've lived this wonderful lifestyle as well. And let me go ahead and switch. Just for those of you maybe who aren't familiar with workamper.com, haven't delved into the Workamper News realm yet, we have the best toolkit available for helping you learn about the lifestyle and then find the right jobs for you. Workamping and RVing isn't for everybody. It's not always the easiest lifestyle to live. It can be great, but there are certainly going to be frustrations and challenges that come up as well. So what our focus and passion is here at Workamper News is to help you guys know as much about this lifestyle as possible so you can gain confidence, move forward, knowing this is going to be the right lifestyle for you and knowing what to do and when. So that way, hopefully there will be less hurdles and problems and negative things that come up because we want you to be successful. That's what we're all about. So we have job finding tools. We have the most job listings geared towards work campers than you'll find anywhere else. The most robust way to search, narrow them down, connect with those employers. You can research employers as well because you want to get to know those employers and those opportunities to, again, make sure it's a match for you. And then just education that's available. We do these monthly webinars, but we've been doing webinars and videos for a long, long time. We have a full media library, some online courses as well, all of that at workamper.com. So if you're not yet a member, please encourage you to check out our website. We do have a lot of free stuff that you can click around and look at, but our yearly memberships do give you even more. And yearly membership is anywhere from $20 a year to $67 a year. So it's really not a big investment. So anyway, that's just a little bit about Workamper News and myself, so you know where this information is coming from. And let's go ahead and dive into your questions. Okay, so first up, quite a few of you asked, how do I even get started as a work camper? How do I even find these jobs? And I have another video where I spent, I don't know, probably about 90 minutes or so going into depth on the process of finding a work camping job. And so let me pop over to my internet browser here and I'll show you guys a couple of resources. I'm going to answer this question, but I do answer this question a little more fully. I'm not going to go into it as full in depth today as I do in these other resources. So here's workamper.com. This is our website. I'm actually logged in as a platinum level user at the moment, but if we just hop over to the job resources page, Let me make sure I actually clicked on that. We have a quick article on this page, just how to find a work camping job. That's just a text article that goes through the different steps of finding the job and giving you some advice and information. If you are a member and you're on our website, you can go into the media library to find this video, but if you're not yet a member, you can go to the Workamper News YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/workamper, or search Workamper News in your YouTube app. And in the videos, we do have steps for finding a work camping job. Here it is, 12 steps to find a work camping job, and okay, it's an hour and 10 minutes. So this video definitely goes more thoroughly into the different steps that I'll just kind of touch on real quick. So I wanted to give you guys those couple resources to look at to, you know, get further into this topic than what we'll get into today. But basically, the first thing you got to do is kind of decide what you want. If you are going to be work camping as a solo and traveling on your own, then that's all for you to decide. If you have a travel partner, or if you're going as a family, maybe 2 friends together, you know, mother, son, whatever your configuration is, that's going to be in your RV household. Make sure you guys are, you know, talking about this lifestyle and thinking about what you all want and trying to find some common ground on that. So that way everybody's on the same page, and hopefully, you know, you can move forward together and be excited about it together as you learn more about this lifestyle. So, you know, you got to decide where you want to go. You want to work on, you know, what your budget is. So when you are looking for work camping jobs, you need to find work camping jobs that are kind of provide you, you know, wages, certain amount of income. Are you okay just taking positions working in trade for an RV site because you have other, you know, financial means that are supporting you? So kind of, you know, budget wise, you also want to decide what kind of jobs that you're interested in. You know, there may be some duties that you're not physically able to do, some things that you just don't want to have to do at all. So as you dig into some of the different work camping job listings that are out there, you're going to start to see the different opportunities available. And then that's going to give you a better idea. Oh, and let me mention this too. I'm going to pop over to another website. So this is our podcast, workcampershow.com. So for almost over 3 years, almost 4 years now, we've been publishing a weekly podcast on the work camping and RVing lifestyle. Each week, the episode is an interview either with an employer providing jobs, or a work camper living the lifestyle, or some other person or entity in the RV community that's, you know, providing a beneficial service or information or whatever. But in our podcast episodes, and it was actually episode 200, so I'm just going to scroll down here. Oh, and you can find the Work Camper Show if you guys use an app to listen to your podcast, like Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, like those platforms. We're there too. So wherever you listen to your podcast, just search for the Work Camper Show, and we'll pop up. You can subscribe and listen to new episodes and stuff. It's a great way to learn about different opportunities, as well as what people are, you know, how they prepared and how they're living this lifestyle, and real life stories of people who are living it. But this episode is the one I wanted to point out. It's episode 200. Myself and my husband, Luke, who works here as well, we outlined 200 different work camping jobs that are out there. Oftentimes people think of work camping as I'm working in a campground, and that's too limited of a definition. Or I'm working in trade for an RV site, or receiving an RV site as my compensation. That's too limited of a definition as well. So work camping, as we've defined it, is doing any kind of part-time or full-time work while living in an RV. So it really encompasses a lot, you guys. And, you know, if you do want to work in campgrounds, awesome. That's certainly the primary business type that offers jobs to work campers, but there really is a big variety in multiple different industries available. So I want you guys to get excited and dig in and think about the different possibilities. You know, you can really do some stuff that you never even imagined that you would, and you're going to learn a lot of new stuff. And that's one of those, you know, kind of intangible benefits of the work camping lifestyle. Sometimes it's just getting to, it's the people that you're going to meet and getting to do, you know, unique things that you never thought you'd ever do. So give a listen to this podcast episode. We didn't even touch on all the different jobs. Like after we recorded it, I was like, oh, we've got this and this and this and this. So anyway, it's not even like a full comprehensive list, but that's a good place to start. So workampershow.com, the episode 200 is a good one to listen to again, get an idea of the different opportunities that are out there, because those are the kind of things you guys want to start thinking about. And then we'll talk a little bit more about timing later, because there's a question specific to that. Oh, and let me just, a little caveat here. We are in central Arkansas, and today it is very, very windy, and there's a potential for severe thunderstorms. So if the webinar just falls apart and disappears, sorry guys, it's weather related, and I'll make it up to you. Okay, rabbit trail over. All right, so you're going to start looking at the different work camping opportunities that are out there. We have our main hotline system, our online magazine archive, and you also want to put together a resume. Not all employers are going to require a resume to apply and communicate with them, but a lot of them like to see that. And it doesn't have to be a super professional resume and listing all your education and all the jobs you've done forever, etc. We'll talk a little bit more specifically about resumes in a little bit, but you'll want to put together a resume. If you're a two-person team or a family, typically you guys can put together just one resume that kind of covers the bases for all of you. So you're going to have your resume put together. You're going to start looking at the different job listings. The employer should indicate in their advertising how they want you to communicate with them. So you'll, do whatever the ad says, whether it's calling them, emailing your resume, filling out an online application process, whatever the procedure is to start touching base. And then you're going to, every employer's process is going to be a little different. You might do like an online interview with webcams like this, or like a FaceTime call. Some will just do a normal phone call. Some may do things just over email, which I'd be careful a little bit about. Just caution you a little bit there. Some will have, online application processes that you got to click through and do different steps, etc., as you go through kind of the hiring process. But kind of the next thing you'll want to be sure is create a list of questions that you want to be sure to have the answers to, because you want to get as much information as you can about the opportunity, so that way you know if it's going to be right for you or not. A help wanted ad is really just an introduction to an opportunity. It doesn't really, very rarely does it give you the full details on schedule, duties, compensation, how big the staff and the team is, what your RV site is going to be like, what the local area is like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to want to develop a list of questions, and hopefully the employer is going to give you enough time, enough of their time for you to ask those questions and get the answers. And you're like, oh God, Coach, what am I supposed to ask? I can help you with that. So here at workamper.com, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to our article index. And in our article index, we have a job finding category. And in the job finding tools category, we have questions to ask an employer number 2, which means we have a questions to ask an employer number 1. And then this article, low overhead, I should have asked, that's another one. And then we had another article, and maybe I just didn't put it in here yet, you guys. Okay, I'll have to double check that, but we for sure have it on our Gone Work Camping blog. So goneworkcamping.com, this is our blog website. And here we just have multiple free articles available for you guys to read. So if we scroll down here, it wasn't too long ago, questions to ask work camper employers to enhance expectations. So there's an article here with a big long list of questions grouped by category, questions that you can pose to an employer when you're wanting to communicate and get to know more about the opportunity. Because like I said, the more you know about an opportunity ahead of time, the less surprises that there are going to be. So you want to get as much information as you can ahead of time. Once you get, that information. They should give you, all the details on the hours that you're going to work and what the compensation package is, etc. And as far as compensation in the work camping realm, there's a really big spectrum, you guys. So there are some jobs where you're just working in trade for an RV site or other non-monetary perks. Sometimes you'll work so many hours a week in trade for your RV site. Any extra hours worked are paid a wage. Some opportunities you are paid for every hour worked, but maybe you're paying a fee for the RV site because maybe the employer's leasing the RV site, so they have a cost for the site, so they're just kind of passing some of that on to you. Anyway, or you're working, all hours are paid and you're given your RV site at no cost to you. Some positions are where you receive a salary and maybe even some career-like benefits. Other opportunities could be commissions. You may earn commissions on sales or the overall gross of what the company earns. That's going to be more so like doing fireworks sales tents, pumpkin sales tents, Christmas tree sales tents, etc. So really quite a spectrum. And you also want to be sure to find out whatever your compensation is, find out from that employer if you're going to be considered a W-2 employee or a 1099 contractor, and understand the differences there. We do have some articles about that in our article index on our blog and stuff, so you can learn more about that. Anyway, so once you get the details on what that compensation package is, if there is a trade out taking place where you are working some hours in trade for the site, you want to be sure to do the math on that to then kind of figure out what your hourly wage equates to. With the trade outs, it can be hard sometimes. Again, the employer doesn't give you all the details. Like if you're getting, electricity is also provided, and maybe they're letting you do laundry for free and you're getting a propane discount. Maybe they're providing you a meal or uniforms or Wi-Fi or kind of some of those other benefits where it's like it's hard to assign a dollar value to. So you may have to do a little bit of, ask the employer what they think the value is, etc. And then do the math on it. And there's a little, shorter blurb on doing the math here. We also have a longer article in the article index about doing the math on work camping opportunity. And we provide you a worksheet that you can use to kind of fill out to help you with doing the math on each opportunity that you're considering. So all that's at workamper.com. So you need to do the math to determine, especially if it's an exchange, a barter situation, if that's going to be acceptable to you or not. Not all work camping opportunities are right for every work camper. Like I said, there's a big variety in the opportunities and the compensation available, just as there's a big variety in the work campers and what they're looking for. Some work campers take the stance of every work camper must be paid every hour worked and receive a free RV site, or it's not fair. It's so relative, you guys. There are some work campers out there that can't earn income because of disability, Social Security, or any other number of, situations going on. So all they want to do is work 12 hours a week and trade for an RV site. And that's all they really want out of this lifestyle. And that's okay. There are those opportunities. And there are the opportunities that will pay you for every hour worked. And maybe it is $15 to $20 an hour that they're paying you for every hour worked, and you're getting an RV site on top of that. So that factors in to the value of the hourly. Anyway, so yes, there's definitely some math that can be involved there. Anyway, again, it all comes down to what do you want and what do you need, and figuring out if that opportunity is going to match that. And then just keeping in communication with the employer. So if you do go through the process, you go through the interviewing, you get your questions answered, you're feeling good about it, everybody in your household is on board, and you do accept that position with that employer, then stay in communication with them. Sometimes you guys are accepting a position for sure weeks in advance, but sometimes it's even months in advance before you will actually be going to that employer to start that job. So in that in-between time, stay in communication with that employer. And we encourage the employers to do the same, but some are good at it and some aren't. So, you know, stay in communication, checking in with them, asking them some additional questions, maybe just about the local area, or, oh, how are things going with getting your operation ready for the summer, or whatever. Just checking in to make sure all systems are still go. That way, if, you know, surprises come up, you're more likely to know about it sooner than later. You could even ask to talk to like whoever is going to be your supervisor, manager, and try to get in touch with them and maybe have a conversation ahead of time. You could ask if there are returning work campers or other work campers coming on board, if you could get connected with them ahead of time, just to, you know, kind of feel out who else is going to be in your environment and try to get a, you know, a little conversation communication started ahead of time. So there's definitely some stuff you can do in that in-between time just to stay connected with that opportunity. You know, there are situations that have come up for work campers where the business entity gets sold in the meantime, and so the work campers show up and it's totally different management, and the new management's like, well, we're not using work campers, you know, and they just drove umpteen hundred miles and now they don't have a job. It's just like, oh, you know, that kind of stuff is very frustrating, but it does happen. So the more communicating you can do ahead of time, again, it's just to get a heads up on any potential changes that may have come about. Oh, and I also forgot to mention too, if you guys do decide that you want to accept an opportunity being offered to you, we recommend getting a work agreement, and it's not a contract per se. It may or may not hold up in court. I don't know if there's ever been a court case that's taken place over a work camping job, but a work agreement is basically just, it's a communication tool, and it's a written agreement that goes over, you know, the expectations of both parties. And in our media library for our members, we do have a video where we talk all about work agreements, what should be included, etc. So here's our media library, guys. I'm just going to scroll down to the work camper training section. So here's that 12 steps video that I told you guys about, and then here's all about work agreements. So definitely take a listen to that. We also have a making a first impression video. That's a good one. And then interviewing, that's another good one to listen to. So I would consider, you know, requesting a work agreement, or you guys write up the work agreement, send it to the employer and say, look, we just want to make sure we're all on the same page here, especially if there's like some specifics that you guys have, you know, kind of worked in or compromised on. So like, if you're like, oh, I don't work on Sundays, and the employer's like, okay, that's fine, well, we won't schedule you on Sundays. Let's get that written in the work agreement. So if you go to the job and they schedule you on Sunday, you can go, hey, manager, you know, we agreed that, you know, everybody agreed that I wouldn't have to work on Sundays. So if we could get me off the schedule on Sundays like we agreed to, that, you know, that would be really great. Or some other kind of, you know, special things like that. Again, it's just a communication tool. So if things are kind of going off the rails from what was originally agreed to, you have this, here's where we were, you know, document to take to management, owners, whoever, to communicate, to try to get back on that same page that you want to be on. So we recommend requesting a work agreement too before or as part of accepting that work camping job. So, all right, that's kind of a crash course on, you know, getting started and kind of the process of finding that work camping job. But let me show you guys a couple other things here on the website just real quick. So once you become a member, and we do have a free trial available of our diamond level membership. The diamond level is our most popular level, and it's going to be typically the best one, especially for new work campers. You would do the platinum level if you have some work camping jobs already accomplished, and we'll talk about that more when we get into talking about sprucing up your resume. So as far as like reviewing the different job listings available, you can listen to the podcast. We already talked about that. But the hotline jobs page, that's where new job listings that are daily coming in are posted. And here at Workamper News, guys, we have a team. It's a small team. There's 5 of us. But we review every job listing that comes into the system, and just take it a read, make sure it's, you know, got contact information and looks like a real business, etc., before posting it on the website. I would caution you, there are websites out there that are like 100% free and full of pop-ups and stuff, and they have job listings on them, but anybody can post to those websites, including spammers. We've had spammers try to come into our system, and so if they're coming into our system trying to use, stolen credit cards and stuff like that, yeah, it's happened. We got them shut down because we realized it was not real and not good. So they never saw the light of day. But on the free sites where there's not a staff and there's not anyone like monitoring the website and stuff, just be cautious because there's a possibility that there could be spam posts, Facebook groups, free websites, etc. So just be careful out there. If you're getting emails or communications from someone that's asking you to like send your, social security information, credit card information, personal data like that via email and without like talking to them and stuff, then that's not good. That's not good. Okay, you should be able to do like, the W-4s and I-9s and that kind of stuff like when you get to the job. Or maybe you'll do a background check. That should all be submitted via a secure website and stuff like that. Anyway, okay. So just fish out and watch out for that. Okay, the hotline jobs page, new jobs are posted to this page each weekday. Again, so the last 2 weeks of ads are posted on this page. Sorry guys, my brain goes 1,000 ways a minute and I just want to tell you all the things all at once and it all tries to come out at the same time. And anyway, okay, so we've had about 150 ads just in the last 2 weeks. Again, more ads you're going to find here than all the others combined. And we give you multiple different options for searching through them. So another question we're going to talk about later is solos. So we do have an option here just for to see the job listings where employers consider solos. You can just search on that. Obviously, you can pick a location, state, different compensation if you need an RV site. If you're looking for other housing, there is about 10 to 12, maybe 15% sometimes of advertising employers will offer housing other than an RV site. So if you are someone who's needing maybe a dormitory or a house, apartment, something like that, there are a few opportunities out there that have that available. If you need all hours paid, you can search for that. If you're looking for no monetary compensation, just working in trade for a site, you could search for that. And then you can pick the when you want to start that job. If you want to, starting immediately, or if you're maybe already looking for next season. So we've got multiple different ways here to help you kind of narrow down the job listings to more quickly find the ones that are looking for, that are going to be a match for you guys. So also each weekday, so the new hotline jobs come in and we process them throughout the day. Then in the evening, we send out our hotline jobs email, and that email contains all of the job listings for that day. And we include the full ad text. So you'll see all of this information in the email. It's not truncated and forcing you to go to the website and look at it. So all level members can get the daily hotline email, even if you just want to be a free member with us. You can receive the hotline jobs email. It's just going to be 14 days delayed, but you can still receive our job listings totally for free. But as a member, you can search through them. You get the newest immediately. We also have job alerts. So if you're like, I really want a job in Florida, then you can turn on job alerts for Florida or any other states that you want. And then as soon as we post a new job listing for Florida, you will receive that full job listing via email to your inbox. So again, just being among the first to know about a new opportunity, which can be helpful if it's a primo opportunity that you might have a lot of competition for. Okay, also with our job listings, so here's an example. So you guys will see these links under here: view Praise Your Employer Awards and view Workamper Experiences postings. So these are two tools that will take you directly to work campers who have worked for that employer before. So it's the quickest way to kind of get to reviews for that employer. So you can click on that. The Workamper Experiences tool is where work campers have written their experience working with that employer, so you can read those. And then the Praise Your Employer tool, that is Like if a work camper had a positive experience, they can award a star to that employer. And if you click on the star award, oftentimes you'll see the email address for the employer or not. This work camper decided not to show their email address, but you may see the email address of the work camper who awarded the star. Then you can email that work camper and say, hey, you worked for XYZ employer, you know, how did that go? What was it like? Can I talk to you about it, etc. So we're, you know, giving you those tools to directly connect you with work campers who have worked there before. That's just part of, you know, doing some due diligence and information gathering on that employer. So we're trying to make it easier for you guys. And hopefully once you accomplish a work camping position, you will go into that work camper experiences tool and say, you know, how it went, whether it was good or bad. You know, all of that gets posted in there. So that's our hotline job system. We also have, for 37 years, we published a bi-monthly magazine. Actually printed it and mailed it because that's how it started, because Workamper News started before the internet was a thing. And so it started out as a mailed newsletter that grew to a magazine. But we did discontinue the magazine at the end of 2022. It was just too confusing for you guys to have two different job listing avenues to look at. And with the hotline system, you can see we have all those powerful search, you know, options. And just with the magazine format, you know, we couldn't build that into the magazine format. So anyway, but each issue of the magazine that's in the archive, and we have 100 issues here in our archive, each issue has articles and information about work camping, but also job listings organized by state. So if you are looking, you want to be in a specific area, then definitely look at issues, even if they're older issues of the magazine. A lot of employers that work with us have been with us for years and years and years and years, have hired work campers for a long time. So even if they're not currently advertising, if you guys see a job listing that sounds like it could be a match for you, I would go ahead and contact that employer. You never know, maybe they will go ahead and start recruiting for future seasons, or, maybe something did just come up and they're going to need more help. You never know. So I wouldn't hesitate to contact employers. And the jobs that run in the magazine are different from what's been running on the hotline. Employers do different ways that they go about recruiting. But these are the two kind of main avenues for reviewing job listings. And then we'll talk about resume as well and kind of get into that, as that's another way to to be found by employers and get connected with opportunities. So, all right, that's just a little bit about using our website to find job listings. Again, there's, some work campers just start cold calling businesses in an area they want to be in. That works for them. Networking with other work campers is going to introduce you to opportunities, whether that's, done via social media or in person. So lots of different ways to kind of, find opportunities out there. All right. That's probably going to be the longest answer today. We'll go ahead and move into some of these other questions, guys. Okay. Are there opportunities that are shorter in length than a whole season? These folks would like to find like month-long positions. Yeah, so that's a great question. And oftentimes in the work camping realm, you're going to see kind of two main seasons, and that's going to be like the summer season, which is like usually April, May through September, October, and then a fall winter season, which is September, October through, March, April usually. And that's going to be especially for businesses that are in the outdoor hospitality industry, and especially because obviously in the northern half of the country, there's more businesses that are going to be open in the summertime because the weather is nicer and it's easier to be outside. In the wintertime, stuff closes up north because pipes will freeze and, it makes things more challenging. So a lot of RVers go south for the nicer weather. So there are then more work campers in the south in the wintertime. And so there's a little more competition for positions in the south in those fall winter months. And so you will typically see, that seasonality, especially the businesses that are just open for like a summer season. They're hoping to hire their staff, have their staff for the season, get through the season, and then just be done. So they don't want to have people coming and going and coming and going and coming and going because they've got this business to run. They don't have time to be retraining. all the time. So, you know, that's kind of a factor as to why some employers, you know, want you there for that whole season. It just makes it kind of easier on their life. And it's going to vary, guys, because like I said, there's a variety of business types, but even within the business, so just looking at campgrounds, okay, you know, you have your small mom and pops that are just, you know, a smaller number of sites, you know, ran by the people that own it, they operate it, you know, etc. Then there's going to be like the big commercial campgrounds, you know, the KOAs and the Jellystones and the Thousand Trails, where it's like, you know, hundreds of RV sites, and they have a big staff, and there's activities going on, and pools and sport, you know, tennis courts and baseball fields and activities and just all kinds of stuff, golf things. Yeah, you know, where it's like a little city in an RV resort. It's crazy. So even in the campground realm, like there's just huge, and then there's like government ran campgrounds that like have very few facilities, and maybe they're just even day use areas, or it's mostly tent camping and you're the only ones there in RVs. So like even in the campground realm, there's like this big variance in the different types of campgrounds and RV parks and stuff that are out there. So it can be a little like needle in a haystack trying to find what you're looking for. I'm not saying, like, job finding can be fairly easy, but it also can be kind of challenging, especially if you are more specific into what you're looking for. But anyway, to answer the question, there are opportunities that are shorter than a whole season. With some, like campgrounds specifically, sometimes the governmental organizations will be more flexible as they're just looking for volunteer help, and the volunteers like support the main staff that are operating the facilities. So like Army Corps of Engineers, state parks, county parks, facilities operated by like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service or Parks and Wildlife in the state, you know, kind of entities like that. They may be more flexible with their timing because, again, you're just like, you're a supporting role to the main staff. So they often can be more flexible on the timing if you do, you know, if you are just available for a month or a couple months, etc. You know, they can be more flexible with that kind of timing. There are also, you know, like historical societies, nonprofit organizations. Again, they're just seeking volunteers. So those might be more likely to have some flexibility on timing. Also, stepping outside of like the campground realm, there are shorter term things like Aramark hires work campers to do concessions work at events like a rodeo or like the March Final Four basketball games. Also spring training in Arizona, they do as well typically. There's the sugar beet harvest. That's a shorter term gig in like September, October. That's going to be Minnesota, North Dakota, Michigan areas. So that's going to be shorter term and a high paying gig. There are some fulfillment centers that seek work campers, especially around like the holiday times. And let's see, JCPenney has one. I think it's in Nevada. I forget exactly, but they usually look for work campers. Amazon used to have a program specific to work campers called Camper Force, but it has been dissolved after this year. They just couldn't. Anyway, so Amazon Camper Force, you can go work for Amazon if you want to, you know, short term or long term, wherever their fulfillment centers are, but there's no program that provides you with any kind of like RV site stipend or whatever. So fulfillment centers. Oh, DigiKey Electronics up in Minnesota. They started a work camper program a couple years ago via Express Employment Professionals. That's been going really well. They typically have multiple start dates throughout the year. So that one's not just seasonal. That one though is, I think it's a 3-month minimum gig. So that doesn't fall into our month-long here. Let's see. Oh, there's some, like the Houston Rodeo looks for work campers. So there's kind of like some specialty stuff like that, shorter term events. will, maybe need help like that. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of some options. Again, listening to that podcast, the 200 different work camping jobs would be a good one to go through and listen to. There are also, like we talked about before, the fireworks stands, the pumpkins, Christmas trees. That's going to be more of a November, December, kind of thing for the trees. Fireworks, obviously, June, July, and New Year's, around New Year's. Pumpkins is October, of course. So that can be some shorter term gigs. There are 2 entities that, like if you're looking for an opportunity to travel around a little bit more, maybe not work all the time, when you go to a campground and you check in and they give you your campground map and it's got these ads on the map for like different local businesses. So you can be the person that goes to that local area and sells those ads that then go on that campground map. And those are 2 entities. One is called AGS and the other is Southeast Publications. They both recruit through us as well. And so you learn their sales process and what the products are, and then you go around and try to sell those advertising packages and you earn a commission on that. And that gives you a little more flexibility to move around a little bit more. And it may not be as long of it, like you may be with the company for a while, but you may not have to be working all the time. Also, there's an entity called Southern Cross, and with them, you are like checking walking gas pipelines in different locations, and so that one, there's a little more flexibility on the timing. Gate guarding is another one. That's going to be more so like Texas and Oklahoma areas where you are stationed at an oil gate, an oil facility. I don't know what they do there, but you man the gate. And so anyone coming in, you check them in. Anyone going out, you check them out. So oftentimes you need to, it'll be like a 2-person job because someone needs to be there all the time. But there are some that aren't 24-hour gates. And so that could be a shorter term opportunity. Sometimes the contracts are longer, but not always. So yeah, there's definitely some different stuff out there. Again, it's just a matter of, digging into all the different job listings and just kind of weeding through to find the ones that are offering what's going to work for you and your schedule. And sometimes you can fill holes too. So even if an employer does advertise like our season is X through X or X through Y, you might be able to fill a hole. So maybe like one work camper can come in, the first 4 months, maybe you could do the last 2 months and fill that hole. So it's always worth, communicating with an employer for kind of a just in case scenario, especially like the concessionaires that operate in and around the national parks. They oftentimes will bring in foreign exchange workers, typically, younger folks. And so oftentimes those folks, or even maybe like amusement parks and stuff that hire teenagers or college age kids, those folks have to, go back to school once it gets to about August or so. And so those types of operations lose quite a bit of their staff right there at the end of their season. So if you can come in, for a month or 2 to help them finish out the end of their season, they may be more flexible and let you coming in, that late to just help them finish things out because they know they're going to have so much of their workforce that have to go back to school. So again, lots of just different things out there. Okay, next up, how far in advance should we look for a work camper job? And this might be something that you kind of, try out and develop to decide what's right for you. There are some work campers, like right now, for instance, it's February 2022. Some work campers have had their summer season jobs lined up since last year. And so right now they're starting to find their winter jobs for late 2023, early 2024. There's not that many employers hiring for that time frame, but those work campers are really planning ahead. They know where they want to go, and they're trying to get that lined up early. There are a lot of employers, and sorry, I'm so specific to the summer season right now because we're in the ramp up to the summer season since it's February. So January, February, and March are when we see the largest number of ads. A, because there are more businesses open in the summer that need help, and B, because there are quite a few employers that don't recruit ahead and are now going, oh crap, I open in a month, I need people to work and, you know, be here in April or May to help us get going. So they're like, oh, we got to get these people lined up. So January, February, March, we're going to see the most ads for the summer season. We try to get employers going for the summer season in September, October, November, December, but a lot of them have just come down off their busy summer season. They're not yet ready to think about the next year, or they want to get through the holidays first. Lots of different, you know, so it's kind of a game, you guys. You know, do I accept a position early? You know, go ahead and accept my summer position in October, but then February rolls around and there's some pretty cool jobs coming through on the hot. Oh, I wish I would have done that. Oh, maybe I should have done that, you know, and then you start to like get this, you know, fear of missing out on these other opportunities because you already accepted this one. But that's the thing. Like, you got to decide what you are comfortable with. Like, you know, I'm good. I accepted my job ahead of time. I'll look at other opportunities and save them for another year maybe, but I've accepted that job and I'm going to stick with it. Or you wait until a few months before you want to start a job and go through the listings then to get things lined up. You may want to try it a couple different ways and see what feels best for you. But there are employers recruiting all the time. Again, I would say typically you're going to see employers recruiting 3 to 6 months before the start date of their jobs. But there are some employers that are open year round, and so their jobs might be year round. So they're just going to recruit if they know somebody's leaving and they need to fill a hole, then that's when they're going to start recruiting. So that's why we have a yearly membership, because you guys should stay connected to the opportunities and just kind of be looking all the time. You never know when that perfect opportunity is going to come through the system, or the right employer is going to pull up your resume in the database and go, I need John and Jane Smith to come work for me. They're going to be perfect, you know? So it's just kind of an ongoing thing. If you do, you know, just decide to jump in and you're like, okay, we're going for it, I can start a job next month, you know, go to that hotline page, look for jobs starting more immediately, or start going through those past issues and looking for opportunities that have been advertised before, and just start calling, hey, do you have openings? Hey, do you have openings? I'm ready to start now, you know, and just go for it. So there's not really a right or wrong time to look for that Workamping job. You guys just got to kind of figure out, you know, your system and what you're going to feel good about. But one caveat to that is, please don't be a cherry picker. So if you do accept a Workamping job, but then other opportunities come up that you like better, please don't crap out on that employer that you agreed to go work for because you found something that you like better. You know, save that opportunity for a future season if you can. Or if you accepted a position and, you know, oh, you got too excited and you didn't learn enough about it, but as time is going on, you're learning more about it and you're like, oh, maybe this really isn't going to be the best opportunity for me. I'm not feeling right about it, or there was a management change, or they're trying to change my agreement or whatever. Like, try to keep your commitment if you can, but if you know something isn't going to be right for you, or if something comes up, stuff happens, you guys. RVs break, family members need stuff, you know, you have a medical issue and now you can't fulfill, if you can't fulfill the position because something comes up, just tell that employer as soon as possible. As soon as you know you won't be able to keep that commitment, or you're not willing to keep that commitment for whatever reason, communicate it to that employer as soon as possible. Don't just ghost them, because there are some employers that have been stood up enough by work campers that agreed and said, we're coming, and then they just no-showed, that employer won't even hire work campers anymore. It doesn't happen a lot, but it's, you know, so try to stick with your commitments as much as possible. Yes, there are certainly factors that are going to come into play that need to change that. There are pickle work campers and there are pickle employers on both sides. Crappy things happen. So obviously you got to do what's right for you and stay safe and all of that. But do your best to keep your commitments if you can. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Do employers hire newbies? Yes. Should we just keep it as that and go on to the next one? Just kidding. Okay. Sure. There are some employers, oh, sorry, the rain's starting, guys, so if it gets noise, I apologize. There are employers that are seeking work campers with specific experience, like maybe if it's a campground and they have a reservation software program, they may want you to have experience in that specific software program. Or maybe they have like plumbing and electrical work that needs done, and so they want someone with that kind of experience. Oftentimes it'll be noted in the ad if there is specific experience needed, but most of these jobs, whether it's in a campground or another business type, the employer understands you may not have specifically like worked that exact job position or title before. Most of these are kind of entry-level positions, not requiring a lot of super in-depth knowledge on things. So it's it's going to be okay that you don't have experience in that specific thing. As far as if it's going to be like a management position, they'll likely want you to have maybe some managerial experience if you're going to be a manager somewhere. But don't let, oh, I've never worked camped before. Like, don't let that hold you back. Don't make it so much of a fear factor that it makes you not confident. It's very likely that you have done things in your life, whether it was, jobs that you've worked before, running your home, or things you did in your personal life. You likely have experience and skills that can apply to some of these positions. If you've done things before where you interacted with people, you likely have some customer service skills, or if you handled money before, if you were like a coach of your kids' sports teams or something, then you have some people organizing skills and organization skills, patience. So think about stuff that you've done, whether it was at home, church, stuff you did with your kids, if you had kids, just kind of everything. And think of it's because employers are more concerned about like what you can do for them. So when you are, whether you're writing your like a cover letter, working on your resume, you want to answer the question that an employer is asking, and that is, what can this person do for me? So it's great that you won awards and you've done blah 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 forever, etc. Well, what did doing blah 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 give you that will benefit me? Okay, so you really want to focus on the skills and what you bring to the table, what sort of attitude you have, and that you're a team player or whatever. Or if you're someone who's like, I'd really rather not work with anyone and I don't really want to deal with people, then you need a I'd really excel being behind the scenes, focusing on my work in a quiet space, or something like that. So it's kind of knowing yourself too. Like, you don't want to oversell and say that you're good at things that you're not, but so just watch out for that. But don't undersell yourself. I see kind of in resumes and in situation wanted ads and stuff, people are like, well, we're new to this and we don't really know what we're doing, but like, just don't. I feel like you're undercutting yourself a little bit when you say stuff like that. Like, it's fine to be new, and you can play the newness as a positive as well by, saying like, I'm a sponge. I haven't worked this kind of position before. I think I have some skills that would be beneficial for me and help me with this role, but I'm here to, I am clay, and you can mold me into, the type of worker that you need me to be for this role. I haven't done it before, so I don't have any maybe bad habits to bring to the table. Because, every employer is going to do things differently. Housekeeping at one RV resort is likely going to be different than housekeeping at another RV resort. So that's another thing too, is don't always assume what the duties are going to be with a job title, because it might be different, depending upon the operation. So that's something you always want to clarify as well. So Yes, absolutely. There will be some employers where, you know, they're like, okay, you don't really have the qualifications for the opportunity, but for the most part, guys, just move forward with a positive attitude and an excitement and just communicate well and you'll do all right. Everybody started somewhere, you know. All right. What is the best way to showcase my experience in my resume? So I'm going to go ahead and pop over to our resume builder tool. And this is available to our Diamond and Platinum members. If you do become a member of us, with us, if you just want to write up a resume on your own device and send that out, super cool too. Our resume builder just makes it easy, takes you step by step. You just kind of fill in some stuff and away you go. With the resume tool, you can get your resume filled out and then it will be available in our database, search by employers. We do have some employers, they never advertise their jobs. All they do is go into our resume database, look at resumes, and communicate with Workampers directly. So having your resume in our system is going to open you up to more opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise be able to connect with. So we definitely recommend, getting your resume created and updating it often. Once you accept a position for, the time frame that you have indicated, get into your resume, update it for the next time period that you will be available, that you either know you will or plan to be available for, and let that resume be working for you all the time. So it's super easy, just putting in your contact information, the date you're available, the season you want to work. You select some different business type settings in here, salary, benefits, work schedule, select the states that you want to be in starting on your availability date, not just all the states you hope to visit in the future. What states do you want to consider being in on that availability date? In the history section, you can include past work camping jobs if you've had them, or other past work experiences that you've had. It doesn't just have to be work camping jobs, but I do caution you not to get too carried away. If you guys put too much text in here and put, the 15 different jobs you've had since you were 15, that's just going to be a lot for the employer to look at. And, some employers, if they pull up a resume and there's just a whole bunch of text and then even more work history, they're like, ugh, it's too much. I'm not even going to look at it. So just try to keep a balance of information in here. Like even this kind of dummy text that we have in here is a little bit long, but you can go ahead and enter in your work history here, when you worked, who you worked for, and some of the duties that you had. And another question too, yeah, this is the one I was going to talk about. So if you do have previous work camping experiences already under your belt, I would recommend being a platinum member with us. And so then with your resume, when you come in here and enter that you worked for ABC employer from this date to this date, you can then check the box to request verification and indicate who we should contact. So then we, my team, is going to contact that employer and say, hey, did John Doe work for you from this date to this date? And they're going to be like, yep. We'll be like, okay, great. And then we're going to check that on your resume, that work history entry has been verified by us. So you are adding third-party verified work history to your resume. And that is then legwork that the employer typically would do. Now the employer doesn't have to do it. So you are saving time for that employer and basically like putting stars on your resume, So that's one way to help your resume stand out. Employers can check a box in our resume tool, the Finder tool, to just look at resumes that have the verified work history if they want to start that way. So this is a way to kind of help you stand out amongst other applicants, is having that verified work history. We do only verify work camping jobs, and they have to be within the last 2 years. So sorry, we won't be calling your boss from 15 years ago when you worked for, XYZ company or whatever. It's really just focusing on the work camping history that you have. So in the Sell Yourself section, this is where you can type in, whatever you want to type in. We do have a sample here that you're welcome to copy, model off of. And again, thinking about formatting, you don't want to just have a big block of text. Let's break it up into maybe different sections. Let's be sure to have some different paragraphs. We can do bulleted lists for your skills, highlighting your skills and experience. This just kind of makes it easier to read and consume. It's not as overwhelming to look at. So please take a look at the sample and consider that when you're putting together your text for the Sell Yourself section. And like I said, if you are a 2-person team, you can put both of yourselves on one resume. That's pretty typical. And I've seen families do it as well. If there's 3 or 4 of you that are going to be working, just putting the data in there. You can add photos if you want to. You don't have to. Some employers will request them. If you don't provide photos, it's possible the employer will request to do like a webcam FaceTime call, or potentially have you come in for an in-person interview. So photos on there or not. You can also add a video. You can record a video of yourself talking and saying how awesome you are, upload it to YouTube, and then put the link in here, and we'll automatically put it in your resume for you. So once you go through and build your resume, we take all of that data and put it into a nice format here. So here's my photos at the top. Here's my little welcome video of me talking. And then we get into our text, our contact info, our preferences, and then our work history. So it's a nice little kind of summary resume. Again, with Workamping resumes, you typically don't need them to be as formal or as thorough as the career or professional resume. Again, you just really need to focus on what you bring to the table, what you offer to that employer, and how their business will benefit from you being on their team. So those are just some of the things to think about as you are, working on your resume. So while it's not as important exactly like when you worked for which employer and how many jobs you've had, it's really, these are the skills that I have and how I bring them to the table. We do have some articles in the article index in that job finding tools category that we talked about. That is some more advice and can help you like with kind of the wording in your resume and stuff like that. Like this action words one is a really good article. Shameless self-promotion, resumes, the employer's view. So read through a few of these articles. That's going to help give you some better ideas of kind of how to word things on your resume, as I know that's kind of usually like the hardest part when you're getting into it. So, okay. Hopefully that helps a little bit with getting you guys introduced to putting together a resume. And let's go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint here. We'll go to our next question. Okay. Multiple questions here. These didn't all come from the same person. But I kind of grouped these together since it's all kind of talking about solos. So solo work campers, that is either, someone traveling on their own, or it is where there's multiple humans in one RV household, but only one of them is going to be applying for the work camping job. And that's cool too. Employers will consider both. And are there jobs for solo work campers? Yes, absolutely there are. We've known many successful solo work campers that have jobs lined up for the next year, have no trouble finding opportunities. They're utilizing the tools available, jobs are coming to them. So yes, absolutely. In our system, like if you just go to the hotline jobs page, on average, 70 to 80% of the posted jobs consider solos. It doesn't necessarily mean they always hire solos, but they will consider solos for their positions. Now, whether or not those positions are still available when you contact them, there's a lot of factors at play. Because there are some solos who get very frustrated. They're communicating with employers, and the employers are like, well, we're looking for a couple, either now or whatever. And it was like they either applied too late and the solo position was filled, or maybe the solo didn't have the skills or the qualifications for the position. There's just a lot of factors at play. Maybe the schedules didn't line up. It's hard to say. So Are solo work campers being phased out? No, not to our knowledge. We don't, we don't hear a lot from like employers. We're not an agency. Like employers don't tell us, like they run their ads and work campers communicate with them. We don't know which employers are hiring which work campers. We don't know, work campers don't tell us which jobs they've taken for sure. Like, so, I can't say that X number of employers that advertise for solos for sure hired this many solos. Like we don't have enough staff to track all of that. Maybe someday, but not right now. Based on advertising input from work campers, solo work campers are not being phased out. How to find jobs for solo work campers? Like I was showing you earlier on the hotline jobs page. You can check that box for solos considered to just look at the job listings coming through where employers, because the employers indicate that information when they're submitting their ad. We don't just automatically put solos considered on the job listings. That's something the employer selects or doesn't select when they're submitting their ad. So on that hotline jobs page, you can check that box to then just have the job listings showing where solos are considered. And then again, having that resume completed, updating it frequently. When an employer member goes into our resume finder tool, by default, their results are displayed where the most recently updated resumes are first. So if you updated your resume yesterday and you fall under the criteria that the employer searched for, you're going to be in that top part of their search results. So the more often you're updating your resume, the more often you're going to be showing up higher up in the search results for the employers. They can sort the results once they have them, but by default, it's the newest, most recently updated resumes appearing first. So keeping that resume completed and updated often is another tactic for always, trying to stay up there and get attention. And then another avenue, at least in our system, is running a situation wanted ad, which is basically a work wanted ad. So you can type that up. There's just a little simple submit process on our website from the dashboard. I am a solo work camper seeking an opportunity for this time frame in this location. Here's why I'm super awesome, and this is what I bring to the table for you. Please contact me, kind of thing. Again, focus on what you bring to the table and how awesome you are, with that work wanted ad. It's just another way to advertise and kind of draw attention to yourself. So as a solo, you want to be, watching the job listings coming in, keep that resume going, keep that work wanted ad out there, and, be a part of the community and be communicating with other work campers, as again, that's another avenue for getting connected to the different opportunities that are out there. So yeah, you can also, a couple other things I just thought of. Episodes of our podcast, we've interviewed many successful solo, or not necessarily successful, just we've interviewed many solo work campers, and some of them are more successful than others. It just depends, and success is all relative anyway. But so check out different episodes of our podcast, and we also have done at least 2 issues of our magazine. We focused on solo work camping, like 2 issues within the last 5 years. And one of the issues we actually, we asked each employer if they considered solos, and the ads in the magazine that are in blue text instead of black text are from employers that consider solos. So you can find that magazine issue about solo work campers in the online magazine archive at workamper.com. So, all right, next up. This gal is a nurse, maybe retiring soon, so she's wondering if there are nursing jobs that she could do at campgrounds or other places. We really don't see positions specifically seeking nurses. Obviously, you would have skills from your job that would be of benefit to a lot of the different opportunities that are out there. I'm sure you can multitask and deal with people and, have to follow very specific procedures very well. Be on your feet a lot and moving. So definitely a lot of skills there. But specifically nursing jobs in the work camping realm, there's really not a lot. that are advertised. Certainly there's a whole travel nurse network going around to different, hospitals, medical facilities, etc. But those services or entities don't really utilize the work camping world resources out there. That would have to be done through, a different resource or entity online to find specifically like travel nurse jobs. But if you are retiring from nursing, maybe it's time to do something different. If you love what you do and you want to keep doing it, then keep doing it. But maybe it is, time to try something different. Another thought that I had with this question is places that have like pools or like water, there's rides and splash pads and lazy rivers and all kinds of like water play things nowadays. So those kinds of places will likely have lifeguards, and I'm sure a nurse would very quickly, if not automatically, qualify as a lifeguard. So amusement parks or large resorts that have those kinds of facilities may be super happy to have a nurse on board. And typically at amusement parks, especially, I used to work at one, so I know, they hired people who were, EMTs, nurses, etc., to be in like the guest services role, because people get hurt at amusement parks, band-aids and heart attacks or who knows whatever else. So there will be a few, roles to be filled with that kind of skills, but we really don't see them advertised very often. Okay, these questions came from one person here. Okay, how do people pay for everything? Typically with US dollars. No, it depends on the person. So again, kind of like we talked about, everybody's going to be different. So some work campers wait until they retire from their careers, and maybe they have pensions or 401ks or passive income from rentals or small business or just a crap ton of money in the bank or whatever, and they're like, no, we're camping. And so that's how they pay for stuff. Some work campers come into the lifestyle with no debt, but they still need to make money to, feed themselves and pay for insurance and cell phones and all the things. So they're, going to look for opportunities that provide pay for all hours worked or salary or whatever. Some folks move into the lifestyle with, a boatload of debt, and yeah, I got to make some change to do this. So you just need to find the work camping opportunity that provides the income for you. You may also not be able to find a position in the typical work camping realm. Like you might need to just find an RV park somewhere to live at and find a job in the local community that, affords the income that you need to cover your bases. So it's really going to vary. Some folks will work camp for wages and they have a small business on the side, whether it be there are folks who do like mobile RV repairs and stuff like that. You can make a bunch of money doing that, but it's a lot of work. You could be an RV inspector. You could do any of those. It's not always multi-level marketing. Some of it's just reselling stuff. Tupperwares and goops and gadgets and essential oils, like that kind of stuff, clothing, kind of reselling, doing that kind of small business stuff on the side. Crafting, people, that love doing crafts, whether it's making quilts or engraving guns or whatever else, you could turn your hobby potentially into a small business. Maybe some folks who they can take their profession kind of wherever they go, and kind of, I know there's different like certifications in different states, but like, if you're a hairdresser, like a dog groomer or a barber, you can maybe, as long as you got your tools with you, right, you could do that. But it's just going to depend kind of on the state regulations on some of that stuff. So yeah, lots of different ways that people pay for all the things. And you just, you want to set yourself up as best you can. You don't have to dive into work camping with a multiple hundreds of thousands of dollar rig and vehicles and all the stuff. Like, make sure you're finding the RV that's right for you, for your budget, your physical capabilities, what you're happy to live in, happy to drive down the road, etc. So yeah. Oh, we did recently, just last week, the goneworkcamping.com, our blog website, is a really great budgeting article. So I would encourage you to give that article a read to kind of help you with budgeting and funding the RV lifestyle a little more easily. Lots of tips in that article there. All right, other question posed here is what insurance is available before old enough for Medicare? So I'm assuming we're talking health insurance here. So let's pop over back to our internet browser. So there's a variety of different health insurance options out there for RVers. I would recommend getting in touch with Nomad Insurance. So it's nomadinsuranceGroup.com. This website is operated by Kyle, super great guy, been RVing for a long time, in the insurance game for quite a long time. So he works with folks to figure out what plan is going to be best for you, because obviously there's no one size fits all plan. Everybody's different as far as their medical and health needs and wants and budget. So check in here. He's got lots of information available on his website of some different things, but he does, work with folks on an individual basis as well. So, there's the health sharing plans that are out there. There's, the typical health plans through the marketplace. So just some different options that are out there. Telemedicine is more of a thing now, since the COVID business. So yeah, nomadinsurance.com. nomadinsuranceGroup.com. That's going to be the best resource out there for RVers to get connected with the right insurance plans for you. All right, next question here. Pop back over to the slideshow. All right, pop-up camper renovating. This is what was submitted. I'm guessing the question is, where do I go for pop-up camper renovating, or how do I do pop-up camper renovating? Sorry, I'm really not going to be much help on this one. We don't really have any resources as far as like rebuilding RVs. We do have information about like before you buy an RV, the different RV types. We've done some articles on things like that. But as far as renovating goes, I'm not sure if you're looking for like ideas on what to do, someone do it for you, or you want to learn how to do it yourself. I'm sure there, with a quick Google search, you're going to find lots of different blogs and videos that people have made online. Whether or not those are, anybody can make a video and put it on YouTube, guys, or write a blog post and put it out on the internet. So just be sure to research your sources a little bit, especially if someone's like getting into like specifics on electrical or plumbing, etc. They may or may not really know what they're doing. So just be cautious of your sources and consider that before like really digging into the information that they've presented. I don't want you guys to end up with like a bigger headache or something than what it could have been. So, but if you are looking to like do this yourself, one resource that we feel really confident about recommending is the National RV Training Academy. And so this is actually, it is a physical facility that's in Texas. It's a school that trains people on, RV maintenance and the different technical systems in RVs. And so they have like a week-long course that kind of covers all the bases, but then they have some specialized courses like just on air conditioners and refrigerators and like exterior slides and stuff like that. So if you're really wanting to get into doing it yourself, this would be a good resource to learn that information from, because you're being taught by actual, certified RV technicians and trainers. They have I think a learn at home course that's available as well from these folks too. So if you do want to get the training to do it yourself, nrvta.com is who I recommend going through to get that training. And this can be turned into another work camping gig, kind of like we talked about before, guys. If you did want to run your own business on the road, whether it being, you know, an RV repair person or doing RV inspections, you know, this is the place to start to get your training to do that and get started with that. So that can be a pretty cool opportunity, especially if you're not wanting to be, you know, in a location for a longer period of time. You want to have the flexibility to move around and be wherever you want to be for whatever period of time you want to be in. Running a small business like that would definitely warrant that. So, all right, hopefully that helped answer your question a little bit. I know it wasn't as helpful as some other things that we talked about, but hopefully give you a place to start. So, all right, guys, that was all the questions submitted ahead of time. I've kind of been watching the screen here. Those of you who are live with us, you know, if you have any last minute questions or anything, if I didn't cover something that you want to talk about right now, I'm happy to hit on anything. So I'll kind of watch the screen here, but really appreciate you guys joining us for this month's Q&A webinar. Very happy to answer your questions and dive in, and we love talking about work camping here. And like I said, our goal is just to, you know, make the best resources for you guys that we can and provide you guys the information and education and support to help you live what we think is an awesome lifestyle. And there's going to be, you know, highs and lows, just like anything with life, but work camping can be really great. And just like with everything else, you get out what you put in, okay? So it does take some effort to find the right opportunities for you, but once you guys get out there and you do get connected with, you know, some really great people and get to be in some really great places, you're just really gonna start to enjoy things. It's really great. Okay, we have a question here from Anne. She's asking about what our membership levels are. Great question. I totally should have covered that, but I try not to get too salesy in these webinars, you guys. So let me just pop over to our join page here. So when you guys go to join the website as a work camper, this is what it'll look like. Giant face here. So here's just kind of some general information on the different tools we have available. And as we keep scrolling, here's Workamper News membership levels. So our gold level membership is geared towards folks who are like, okay, I'm pretty sure I want to do this work camping thing, but I'm not going to be doing it for a year or 2 or 3 or 4. I just need to start learning more about it and getting an idea of the different opportunities that are out there. So with the gold level membership, the main benefit is our educational resources. We have multiple online courses about work camping and marketing yourself as a work camper. We have all those videos in the media library, all those articles in the article index, etc. So we also will send you the Hotline Jobs email, but the ads in that email will be 7 days old. So that's the gold level. Our main level, that's the diamond membership. That's $47 for the year. You can try it for 30 days free. We do ask you to enter a credit card. That's mostly just to verify that you're a real human and not a spammer trying to get into our site. So we do ask for that credit card in the sign up process. You can turn off the auto renew setting as soon as you get logged in. So you turn that auto renew right off if you want to. But typically about 80% of folks who do the free trial continue on to become a yearly member because they immediately start seeing the value that it brings. So if you are, I would say, 10 months or less from wanting to start a work camping position, I would go with that diamond level. Then you're getting, you know, the newest job listings are coming to you right away. You're able to get into that Hotline Jobs website page where you can search and sort the ads. You can get that resume created and get that, you know, going and working for you. You'll have access to read the reviews about employers or write reviews about employers. We didn't talk about the member map, but that's just another, you know, community tool. You can use our member map to see if there are any work campers around you, and then you could connect with them and maybe get with them and have some conversations. Or you can search a location on a map that you know is the employer you want to go to work for, contact any work campers there and see if they're working for that employer, and then ask them about how it's going. So yeah, so the diamond level membership is kind of our main one. The platinum, really just the difference there is that work history verification on resumes. So if you're a work camper with, more than one job completed, that platinum level is going to be more right for you. Also, if we do what we call our Work Camper Rendezvous event, it's like a live conference event. We haven't done it since COVID just because first it was because of COVID, and then it's just we're a small staff and we're currently rebuilding the website right now. So if you're listening to this a year from now, everything I've shown you and what I'm talking about now is all different. So the new version of workamper.com is coming later in 2023, and it's going to be the best. I'm so excited about it. The resume is amazing, and the job listings is going to be even more robust, and saving job listings that you guys want to save, and just a lot more features are coming. So anyway, so those are the 3 different yearly membership levels that are available now. You can try out the Diamond for 30 days free. And if you just want to join our website and just look at job listings and nothing else, you totally can. Just do the 30-day Diamond trial, let it expire. Once the 30 days are over, you'll be reverted to our free intro level, and you can turn on that daily hotline email and get the job listings from 14 days ago. So you can still see the job listings. You'll be, among the last to know about them, but you'll still have access to the job listings via email. So we do provide our job listings for free in that way. Any level of member can view our full online issue magazine archive. And then again, there's quite a few resources here, just going through the different menu items, looking at our FAQ. It's a pretty robust FAQ, especially the Workamper FAQ. Lots of questions and answers listed here that you guys can take a look at. That's totally free. And then of course our Gone Work Camping blog and the Workamper Show podcast is another good one. So lots of education and information we're throwing out at you guys. So just doing what we can, again, to help you learn about the lifestyle and be successful. So all right, well, no other questions have come in, so we'll go ahead and wrap up for this month. Again, really appreciate you guys listening in. Please hop over to our website. Feel free to contact us by email or phone if you guys have any questions about work camping, membership, etc. We're happy to help you guys as best we can. So thanks again for joining us, and I wish you guys happy work camping.